Welcome to tonight's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. As you can see, Brandon has decided to graciously appear tonight.
Feels like something's about to crawl out of my skull right now.
He got a headache. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
No, we had some. We Tina's upstairs, but we're gonna do a podcast tonight. We want to talk about D&D, role-playing games, all that fun stuff like that.
One of my favorite pastimes.
Yes. I've been playing gaming since, I want to say the 6th grade, so 1985, 86? A long time. D&D was all of it was like 10 years old or 10, 11 years old when I started playing.
What edition did you play?
First Ed.
Ah.
First Ed. But before we get started, remember, we will let you to check out the Group Therapy TV podcast on YouTube, on Podbean, and now we are on Stitcher Podcast. We are podcast addicts. We are on Deezer Podcast. We are on, trying to think. We're on just a bunch of podcasts. Go try to find us. If not, if you can't find us,
Try YouTube.
Try YouTube. Look us up on there. Look up Group Therapy TV. Put Group Therapy TV Brandon. It'll pop up almost immediately that way. Or Group Therapy Weekends. We're going to, or you can follow us on
The brother that does not want to appear.
Joe just wandered into
appeared like a cryptid. He was like in the Bigfoot pose, like,
and he just walked right back.
he's like, whoop.
Here he comes. He's gonna go get into the drawer. What do you need, Joe?
He doesn't
Second drawer.
He doesn't want
it's what I think.
he doesn't want Apple to own his voice and likeness. Because we are on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, we are on Apple Podcasts. We're Google Podcasts too. Okay, and if you can find us on there, follow us at Group Therapy TV on Facebook. You can follow it through me. You can find me, Paul Lee, on there. You can follow my store, RU Game. Brandon's on there.
Yeah.
But you can follow us on there through the Group Therapy, or you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Emperor Palpatine at Group Therapy TV on the Twitters, and I'm at Group Therapy TV on the Instagrams.
If you're on Twitter, you know who I am.
Yes. So, and but as always, remember, this episode is brought to you by RU Game, the best comic book, video game, magic, toy store, and all of Piqua, Ohio. 45, or was I keep wanting to do the zip code, at 124 North Sunset Drive, Piqua, Ohio 45356. All right. And you can buy your gaming supplies there. I sell dice and miniatures and gaming books and modules and paints and all that fun stuff there. So
he also offers recommendations.
Yes.
So if you want to learn about an obscure ass series of books, then he will probably know about it.
Oh, here's the thing. I also allow, if you become a regular, you can use my personal gaming library to run a campaign in the store. You can't take it out.
We're not a library.
We're not a library. We allow you to use the books in store, and I have everything from D&D, Shadowrun, Pathfinder,
Pretty sure you got some
GURPS. I have Cyberpunk 2020 in the far-flung year of 2020.
Oh boy.
I have Palladium role-playing. I have DC and Marvel role-playing games. I have Star Wars role-playing games.
That's what Joe and I are
3
running.
different generations of the Star Wars role-playing game. But you guys are playing with the second generation.
Yeah, the D20 version.
The D20 version, which I'm not going to lie, preferably the best.
This is because you're familiar with the D20.
Well, I played with the D6 system when I started playing the Star Wars role-playing game. Matter of fact, those are the same books that are sitting on that shelf are the same books I played with when I was in junior high. And Brandon over there will not leave the dog alone. So...
All right, Abby.
Okay. So, long story short here, I started playing D&D shortly after I was... Because we had... Let me pull these out here. Boom. Because back in the 80s, they had Choose Your Own Adventure books. Well, this is what D&D decided to put out. These, the Endless Quest books. And this one, I believe, is actually signed.
Do they actually have like little checks in them? Where you
Yeah.
like roll?
Look at that. I got that signed to you forever ago by Larry Elmore.
That's cool.
Yeah, Larry Elmore, the cover art. The guy who did like almost all the D&D paintings at one point. Did this, signed this to my kids. These were cool because this is what I started with. This is what I started it in probably...
Is that the same book you've had since you were a kid, or
Yeah, this is definitely the same one I had. I got this was in 1982. And nope, this is the fifth publishing in 1983. So I probably had this one since I was 9 when I got this. Probably got it at a library sale or something. I have a bunch of these, which these are getting stupid expensive now. I started playing these when I was reading these. Then they went up to these. The
scoot out of there.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Adventure Game Book.
Hey, Abby, come on.
And
Go hang
you
out
actually
with
had to
kids.
have you got your character sheet, your little tiny character sheet, and that's how you kept track of everything.
Nope. Get down.
And I got hooked on these.
Quit chewing on me.
No time for stealing, Beagle Boy. We're making movies. Lights, camera, DuckTales.
Here comes the magic and adventure that is pure Disney. As your fine feathered friends drop by for non-stop action and excitement.
More. I want to see more.
It's coming your way in the 2-hour world premiere of DuckTales.
Disney Magic, Friday at 8 on Fox 11.
There's something strange in the neighborhood.
So who's gonna call?
Look, Sonic, we're cool. We can ghost zap. Let's find those ghosts.
Batteries not included.
Yeah! I'm no ghost, but he is. I'll project one too. Over here. We're being watched. Fire ghost zappers. Turn to high frequency. We ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Ghost Zapper Ghost Projector Guns, each sold separately. Ghostbusters, new from Kenner.
And we're back. As you've noticed after the last episode, we have added 80s commercials. And I think the last time we had some Mask, some Fruity Pebbles commercials, and some Nintendo, the original Nintendo NES system.
Back when everyone called games Nintendo.
No, because I'm older. They were all Ataris. Every game system was an Atari. But that's another thing is man, I started playing the. I have a bunch of the old Advanced Dungeons and Dragons games for the Super Nintendo for the Nintendo.
Ooh.
Yes, I even had the ones for the Atari, because we had Adventure and all that stuff. But these things right here are what started my downward spiral playing D&D. Then one day, me and my buddies started. We bought the original box set, the red box, and it just went downhill from there. I spent many a afternoon playing D&D in junior high, all through high school. Even
You played usually at the library, right?
yeah, we played at the library, played a little bit at the thing. See, we had the old Pickle Library, for those who don't know, had the basement, and we would play all the way downstairs in the magazine room of the library. And occasionally we could get the off room that was off there, so we could actually close the door and have privacy while we played. And we would sit there and we would play D&D for hours. Matter of fact, it's funny. I was going through my old box sets and through them and stuff because literally I ended up buying my buddy Dante. Shout out to Dante Medley today. I bought all his stuff, and then I still had a bunch of my stuff from when I was younger. So I have, it was either my own personal stuff that I've had forever, or the stuff I used to play with when I was a kid. Well, I found all of our old player sheets and stuff like that a while back. And what's hilarious was because I ended up talking to a girl from Wizards of the Coast a couple years back, and we were sitting there and they were asking like, when did you start playing D&D? And I went, 6th grade. She's like, well, how old are you? And I was like, I think I was like 44 at the time. And they're like, oh, you've been playing a long time. I'm like, yes I have. And she's like, and I was like, yeah, and I just found my old character sheets. And she goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but there's a website and you can go to, and it shows you how to transfer your 1st or 2nd ed D&D guys to 5th ed. And now I'm kind of wanting to do a podcast or do a streaming where I bring back my 2 buddies. We turn our characters up to 5th ed, and we continue running the same characters.
They're all now those characters are all old men, just like you in real life.
They're all old men. You're like, grumpy old bastards that are grumpy about every dang thing. So,
my usual go-to D&D character is I like him. I made it work. His name's Call. He punches things. He's a monk.
Remember the last time we played D&D and you got a spear to the chest? Like,
I was trying to be good, and it backfired.
What's funny is the last big adventure, because I've DM'd, and I'm getting to the point where I don't want to DM. I want to actually run in a campaign. I don't want to run a campaign. I actually want to play in a campaign. And usually I end up, even if I'm doing it, I always end up rolling up a character so that they have an NPC to basically help everybody through. But when the last big campaign I did it with Nate. And we ran it at the old shop, and we ran it forever. And literally, my character was the only one that started that was still there at the end when we kind of just stopped playing. Because everybody else had either died and remade new characters, and mine's the only character that started that was still there at the finish. Mind you, he was I think I was like if I remember right, I was like a 13th level fighter, a 7th level pyrokineticist, and like a 5th level soul knife. I just kept adding and stacking my traits on top of everything. Literally, and the worst part, he was a 5'1" half elf who wore plate mail. So man, my dude was a little freaking walking tank because he was just. I just laid waste to everything. I was like, okay, Psylocke in the X-Men creates the energy daggers and stuff like that, and the energy sword. Yeah, my character could do that and then ignite them on fire. So I could stab you with a psychic knife and then ignite it on fire.
Whoa.
And it was cool because I had flame walk, which was where you didn't fly, but you would walk on air and you'd leave flaming footprints. It's a freaking awesome trait. But we played the hell out of that one. And the worst part about it is I can't find that character. So I don't know if Nate, if you still watch this, Nate Walker, if you're in Georgia and you watch my podcast, Nate, please send me I don't care if you copy it, throw it on the internet, and email it to me. I would love a copy of my character sheet back. And the first part about it was I was really big in watching Slayers, and so it was Zelgadis was my character's name because I was the elf from Slayers. So I played the shit out of that one, but no, this is bad because what's really bad is when you go back and you look at the names you created when you were like 12 years old. Ooh. Dude, mine is that the worst part about it is I just ripped off names. I had Deathlock Stormdragon. I was a big fan. I still am a big fan of the Marvel character Deathlock because he's a cool ass character. Mm-hmm. And Stormdragon just sounded badass. And then, so I have Deathlock Stormdragon. That's like I found I want to say it's Campbell's character sheet. Josh Campbell. Shout out to Josh Campbell. I found one of his old character sheets, I think, and he had a wizard named Merklin. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Merklin was the wizard from the Visionaries. Because we were original. We were kids, man. But
if my character isn't named after arcade hardware, then my character is named after other fictional characters.
Well, I remembered. I ran I wouldn't run. I was in a Star Wars adventure, and my character was Son Goku. Hey, Son Goku. That sounds like a character's name that you could have in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Son Goku, smuggler. So,
in the campaign Joe's running, I'm a clone.
You're a clone from the Clone Wars?
Yep.
So you're which one are you?
I'm a Republic Commando, RC 606.
RC 606?
6067.
So yeah.
6067.
So the sixes?
No. That's not his name. He's a Harbinger.
Harbinger?
That's his nickname.
6-0. You would be 6-0.
His whole thing is that he is a rare specimen of clone, and that he is force sensitive.
Well, there's no. See, if you go back to Legends, there were force sensitive clones. Yeah, so. Well, what's really funny is, for those who don't know, there was a role playing game called Bessem. Big Eyes, Small Mouth, the anime role-playing game. I don't know if I loaned that out to somebody because I used to have it, but the cool part about it was you could run almost any anime because I had the books for Bubblegum Crisis, and I think I had the books for Sailor Moon too.
So you could run magical girls or cyberpunk shooty or
you could mash them together too. You could have
cyberpunk magical girls.
Why not? Sailor Moon Cyberpunk 2099.
See, you need to have like giant mech and then just make Coop from Vegas.
You could do it. You do it. There's probably stats in them books. I need to get them now. I got to go back through and find the Bessem books again.
You got to follow the crap. I can't remember his name, but he's one of the head guys who worked on Megas. Mm-hmm. He has like a bunch of like old statues, and he's got a big box of them. He's like, I don't know what to do with these, and it's just like you need to send him money so you can get a Mega statue.
Yeah, send them to me. I'll put a statue. Like right here, maybe put it next to my look D&D action figures. That's right. There's my good wizard, my evil wizard, my paladin,
your dwarf,
my dwarf. I have a custom Death Knight that I got off of Aaron from Roma Toys. Shout out to Roma Toys and Aaron. So and then I got my little goblin dude from Black Star.
So you got a Force Awakens clone. First Order Trooper.
Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff. I got Visionaries too. See, boom, Visionaries. Boom, Visionaries.
Man, them the holographic effect on their chest is still in pretty good shape.
Dude, I have a Supernaturals back there, and his hologram works really well for a 35-year-old action figure with a hologram in it. Oh man, I tell you what, I've been on a kick, and I've been trying to find the old D&D action figures. There's some of them are stupid expensive, especially if you get the weapons, because some of them had a regular, like they had the shield shooters and stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you get the regular one with just a regular shield, he's cheap. Mm-hmm. If you get the shield shooter one, he's expensive. It's the exact same figure, different shield. Mm-hmm. I got a War Duke somewhere, because War Duke's the one that everybody remembers, because the only two, these came out at the same time the D&D cartoon came out. Probably top 5 animated series for me.
It still holds up, honestly.
Because it does. Well, the thing is it's still got everything in there, and the only person to appear was the Paladin and Warduke, or the only ones that made it in toys. They didn't make the.
they did not make the main cast.
No, and I there's all kinds of rules to that because the toy line was based on the role playing game, not the cartoon. Because everybody was worried because that was during the Satanic Panic and everybody thought D&D was evil anyways. So they didn't want to hey, look, there's D&D toys and stuff. I was like, shit. I watched literally, top 5 cartoons of all time. Number 1 is G.I. Joe.
Number 2 is Transformers.
No, number 2 is Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo.
Then what's number 3? Transformers.
Thunder the Barbarian.
Oh.
I love me some Thunder the Barbarian. And number 4 is Transformers. Number 5 is D&D. Then you get into like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and Silverhawks and Thundercats and
90s Spider-Man cartoon.
God, I keep going on because how much I love my Saturday morning cartoons. I just picked up a copy of Bionic 6.
Never heard of that one.
Bionic 6 is fun and it's kind of racist at the same time. They have the Asian guy who's Karate 1. Well, they give each other these little monikers, like the dad is Bionic 1, the mom is Mom 1. They're not related. They're all an adopted family. So they have the one kid who plays all kinds of sports, so he's Sports 1. They have the Asian kid who...
Renowned Japanese animation director Osamu Dezaki was involved as chief supervising director.
Yep.
The guy who worked on Golgo 13 and Cobra.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. The series was initially as a direct sequel to $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman, and to be the Austin family, but they
changed early.
Yeah, they
in
couldn't
production.
get the rights. But no, I've been Dr. Scarab, which is great because it's voiced by. I mean, look at the list of freaking voices. Alan Skeletor, Oppenheimer, Neil Shipwreck Ross, Frank Megatron Welker, Frank
Uni Welker,
Freddie Welker, Frank. You name a cartoon, Frank Welker has been on that cartoon in one way, shape, or form.
he is the voice. He's the current voice of Garfield.
He is the
And
voice.
he phones it in a hilarious manner. Joe jokes that he's pretty sure Frank Welker is drunk during some of these recordings because he's just like,
no, we won't say that because that's liable. So
he's a public figure. You can't.
No, he's Freddy, still Freddy on Scooby Doo. He's now Scooby Doo on Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Here you go. You got Jack Bennett, Bionic 1, is an engineer and expert test pilot.
Helen
Bennett, a.k.a. Mother 1, is Jack's wife, an oceanographer and accomplished marine biologist. Eric Bennett, Sports 1, is the Jack and Helen's blonde athletic son at the local Albert Einstein High School. Meg Bennett, a.k.a. Rock 1, is Jack and Helen's daughter and Eric's younger sister, an excitable and somewhat ditzy and music-loving teenager. Then you have
IQ.
James Dwight, J.D. Corey, a.k.a. IQ. And then Bunji Tsukahara as Karate 1. And then their giant mechanical ape named Fluffy 1. Then you have Dr. Scarab, who's the main villain. He does a voice that sounds like, sounds like George C. Scott. They have mechanic. They're just so stereotypical 80s. But I don't understand why this one is. I'm not gonna lie. I got this bootleg because I cannot find legal copies of Bionic 6 in any way, shape, or form.
Here's a question for you. You all have talking about all your favorites and what's the best. What is the worst 80s cartoon?
Ooh, Shirt Tales was pretty bad. Get Along Gang was pretty bad. I mean, it is bad because I don't remember a whole lot about them other than their basic concepts. And
When you were a kid, you turned them on like, oh, I don't like this.
well, one of the problems was you had to stagger your cartoons, or later on when I was a kid, you put in the VCR and you would record one network. So you'd record like ABC and you'd watch NBC, or you'd watch CBS and record. So you always had to like jump around. Because a lot of the jump around, get up and get down. D&D was Dungeons and Dragons was on CBS, but then you had all your ABC shows, you had your NBC shows, you had your CBS, and then later on you had Fox, and then you had like your other syndicated shows, like you had USA's Cartoon Express. Mm-hmm. So, but you. Get back to gaming. We went way off topic. Went back to Saturday morning cartoons for some reason.
It's because the D&D cartoon. All roads lead to Saturday mornings.
Yes. Oh, what's great is that I'm a big fan of the Palladium role playing game because it's got a generic universe,
and it's got books that are crossover with didn't they have the TMNT?
They used to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which if you're lucky you can still find those. I still have my old copies. And they end up redoing it because they lost the rights to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so they said they had the After the Bomb, which made it that all the mutants that you had, all the mutant animals, were results from the bomb going off and then mutating into human-like creatures. TMNT became After the Bomb, which is still pretty good because it still has a lot of the same artwork in it, except for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is all
censored out.
It's all Eastman and Laird. It's all their original artwork and everything inside there.
Just the turtles themselves have been Thanos snapped out of existence.
Yeah. Then they had the Robotech role-playing game. And I played the hell out of some Robotech back in the day.
You get to pilot giant robots.
Yes. Giant robot. And the cool part about it is they had one of the best books ever. Ninjas and Super Spies.
And Ninjas. You talked about that before, how it's G.I. Joe.
It's G.I. Joe. Yeah, you can... G.I. Joe. I'd run G.I. Joe campaigns with Ninjas and Super Spies. Hell yeah. I got 2 copies of that book sitting there at the shop. But that was one of the cool things about Bessem was that it was all interchangeable, and I think you could literally have stats for like Kenshiro from Fist of North Star.
Yeah.
You could have fighting JoJo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. You could have Goku. You could have Tokyo Bubblegum Crisis. Mm-hmm. You could have Sailor Moon. Mm-hmm. You could have this mega team of just anime characters. You could have Anime Justice League or Avengers. So I think there was books for like Berserk and everything else, but of course you couldn't really mash up some of them though, because there's no way you could like go, hey, I want to put Kenshiro in Berserk. But I mean, give me the characters, yes. But how are you going to get them there? Time travel or something, or dimensional portal?
I was going to say, there's been all kinds of reimaginings of Kenshiro. There's the one that reimagines him more as a Chinese kung fu fighter in the Apache slot game.
See, I grew up. Matter of fact, I got the box sets down there, the original Fist of North Star box sets. But yeah, you could have Gundams and stuff like that. So you could pilot mechs and all that fun stuff for Bessem. The other big world building one that you can run, and if you have the time and you have the money, you can play it, and that's World of Darkness. World of Darkness. This is like, Vampire. For those of you who don't know, World of Darkness was Vampire the Masquerade. It was Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Hunter the
Reckoning. Mummy the Resurrection. You had Changelings. You had Ghost, which was Wraiths. You had Changeling, which was like Changeling and Fairy Folk. Stuff like... You could play anything. They had Kindred of the East, so you could play Asian vampires. But the other part about it was you could run anything, because World of Darkness ran... This was one I really got into as an adult. I didn't really play much World of Darkness as a kid. I didn't really hit it until I got older. And the funny part about it is White Wolf. One of their subsets was they had the rights to Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, they had the Street Fighter role playing game.
Yeah, so
And that's where a lot of people get their non-canon info from.
Yep.
I'm a Street Fighter lore expert right here.
Well, one of the
Also, King of Fighters lore expert.
I will say this, that the one thing that I could never get into was the live action. I never LARPed. I watched people do the World of Darkness LARPing once, and I was like, oh, this is cool, man. People were in costumes. They were always, really done up. Girls had their makeup done, fangs. And then the combat system, they go up there to each other, and they're like, we're going to fight. You do rock, paper, scissors. That's how you battle. And it's like...
Just if, at that point, just grab the little die and be like, all right, I hit you with that.
See, I literally, when first time I got there, I thought you were going to roll dice. And
That's
then
what I would have done.
That's
That's what I would have set up. I was just like, hey, you got your sheet? I get you!
Okay. Holy crap. Here we go. Vampire the Masquerade. Kindred of the East. Werewolf the Apocalypse. Mage the Ascension. Wraith the Oblivion. Changeling the Dreaming. Hunter the Reckoning. Mummy the Resurrection. Demon the Following. And the Orpheus. Then you had the subset. Because that was all modern. That was all modern day. You had... I got the Werewolf Wild West. You have the Vampire Victorian Age, Werewolf the Wild West, Sorcerer Mage the Sorcerer's Crusade, Wraith the Great War, Vampire the Dark Ages. And then you had the Dark Age stuff, which is 13th century. But I got big into that, and the cool part about that one is where D&D is all about stats. Which, don't mind you still got stats and stuff like that. It's about the game part. World of Darkness is about the role-playing part. So you play the character.
That's why the sheets are a lot more simple. It's
it's dots.
You fill in a
dots.
dot.
Yeah, it's dots. Your mom freaking loved World of Darkness. We ran a bunch of World of Darkness, especially at our old house over on the corner of Covington at college.
Well, I think you got into it right around when Buffy started hitting it big.
Yeah, well...
Heck, World of Darkness was totally... like that Buffy kind of era.
World of Darkness was totally Underworld. They got sued. World of Darkness is if you watch the Underworld movie, go watch the first couple Underworld movies. It's totally World of Darkness. You have vampires fighting werewolves. You have the different vampire clans. They actually had a Kindred the Embrace TV series. It only lasted, I think, like 9 episodes. And it was mostly it says you also got the vampire clans. So you have like the Bruja, the Malkavians, the
nobody likes the fish milk.
You had the Nosferatu,
which are just
the Zimmits.
They're the ugly ones.
Yeah, they are the ones from Max Schreck, Nosferatu. Yeah, they look yeah. See, what happens is when you get embraced, you could be normal looking, but if you get embraced by a Nosferatu, you start becoming more rat-like, and your teeth start...
So you gotta hide away from normal society.
Yep.
And if you don't, chances are you're probably going to get hunted down. And not by hunters, by your own.
Yeah.
By vampires.
See, that's just it.
They want to be secret.
Yeah, vampires want to... certain clans will work with other clans, but then they hate other clans. So, okay, these two will work together, but they hate these two over here. But these
vampire politics.
Yeah, and that was another one. It had a card game that went with it. Never could get in a card game. I really tried. Matter of fact, I've got like 4 or 5 decks.
I never really got into card games in general.
Yeah.
Really, the closest thing was HeroClix.
Yeah, but see, that was another thing I got into briefly was the miniature gaming, which was like I did some Warhammer, and then I realized I don't have enough money for Warhammer or the time. Because it takes you forever to set up. It takes you forever.
Warhammer is like... It's like playing an RTS, but with...
But you actually have to physically move the pieces by hand.
They're tournaments. They're Warhammer tournaments.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I when I had the store in Troy, we had a guy who came in, and he was getting ready to go off to the military. And leading into all that, he was selling off all of his Warhammer stuff. So he asked me if I'd do on consignment. I was like, yeah. Well, we got closer and closer, and I was selling some of it. And then one day he's like, hey, because all this is yours. And I'm like, holy crap. I had a freaking Scout Titan, and that thing stood about that tall. I don't remember
From the table or the floor?
From the table.
All right.
Just tanks and everything. Warhammer is one of the coolest looking role-playing, but there is a role-playing game that goes with it. But it's it's a miniature strategy game.
There's both the role-playing game, the miniature strategy game, the actual video games.
Yeah, Warhammer is everywhere. There's been Warhammer movies, Warhammer comics, Warhammer magazines, Warhammer video games for every system.
Yeah, there's the bad Warhammer games like Fire Warrior. There's the okay games. Then there's the really good ones like Vermintide, which is Warhammer Fantasy.
Well, that's another thing. Warhammer has fantasy and 40K, so it has the past and the far distant future. And I played some of the Warhammer Fantasy. Never got into that. I played some of the Warhammer 40K role playing. It was okay, but man, Warhammer is a complicated world to live in.
Unless you're an orc.
Yeah, unless you're orc. You just crush everything.
I love that orcs have like a cosmic power, but they have no idea. Like if they think that red painting things red makes it go faster, and by like their cosmic power, it actually does make it go faster. That's why you see some art of orcs like with like the windows rolled down on their spaceships. They don't know that they can't do that, so it works. And they say that the first orc was killed when someone was fighting an orc and described to the orc how he was going to kill him, and that's how you can kill orcs.
See, here's the best part about it. Warhammer started out in 1987. It's 2+ characters. Setup time is 5 minutes to 30+ minutes. Then you have the play time, which is 1 to 6 hours. So unless you have around 7 hours to really put in for it, you're not going to play it. Random chance is medium because it's dice rolling. But now, see, the thing is I love reading the books still to this day. I read the Warhammer novels. Not a big fan of Simigar, but you know, it is what it is. I'm a big fan of the just the regular guys, because you have the Ultramarines and you have the Space Marines. You have the giant genetically enhanced 9-foot tall armor clad,
and then you just
2
have
hearts,
dinky little human.
And then you have like the support troops. I love reading the books about the support troops because these guys are dropped on planets they're cannon fodder.
They're literally there to die.
They're there to die for their god, who is the
Emperor of Man.
Who's
probably dead and being kept alive. There's some theories that the reason why he's not dead is because the orcs think he's alive.
That would totally make sense. Well, the best part about the Warhammer is that even when you die, if they can get your body, they will just take your brain and your body and throw it in another machine and keep fighting. Because in Warhammer, there's just fighting. There's, how would you like to be
It's a bad universe.
Yeah.
It's just endless war.
You couldn't be just a normal person in the Warhammer universe. Because it would suck to be there. Then you got the Chaos Marines and the Chaos... which is the Lovecraftian... They worship like a Lovecraftian god that lives in the warp. And
you risk becoming warped every time you teleport.
Yeah, and they use the warp to travel. So, like, as long as
you could be a normal person, and then you go through and you're like...
You become a tentacled monster and you warp and stuff like that. And then you become a Chaos Marine. And then there's the Necrods.
Then there's the Tau, who are they were made to be the good guys.
Yeah. And then
that's why nobody liked them.
There was Eldar, who were what's funny is because you got the Eldar, who were the elves, You have the orcs and the goblins, who are orcs and goblins, but are the same orcs and goblins that have been around since day one. They're still the orcs and goblins.
Now they're in space.
Yeah, space.
Whoa!
Space orcs. Whoa! Let's see. Oh, yeah. You have the Imperium of Man, Chaos, the Necrons, the Eldari, the orcs, the Tyranids, and the Tau.
Tyranids are like the bugs.
Yeah, they're the bugs. Yeah, they're the you if you
The
need
only good bug is a dead bug.
If
Would you like to know more?
watch
Watch
Starship Troopers. One of the best movies ever made about fascism.
Yep.
And people who don't get that movie are like, oh, you don't get that movie at all.
Paul Vanderhoven himself will arrive in your home and smack you in the back of the head if you do not get his movie.
Paul Verhoeven made 3 of the best movies ever. Starship Troopers, RoboCop was the last one. Come on.
I think I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, you don't know. It's Total Recall. But he made
Recall?
He made
I didn't know.
the original Total Recall. But you know what other movie he made?
What?
Showgirls. Showgirls is greatly bad, and this is the
It's
only,
just a movie not made for you.
yeah. This is the only problem I have with how fast they change, because we're on 9th edition Warhammer right now, and since 2008, 12 years. They went from 5th edition, 6th edition, 7th edition, 8th edition, and now 9th edition this year.
Just be like D&D, and like if you fuck up, just pretend you didn't. And just
Yeah,
make 5th
just
edition.
ignore 4th edition. Yeah, that's just ignore 4th edition D&D. It doesn't exist. People look at my shelf at my shop where I have my own personal stuff, and it goes old school D&D, old
First,
school.
second, 3.5, 5th.
Yep.
They just skipped a number.
I don't know why they number stuff like that. That's like the Indiana Jones. You know, they say there's 4 movies, but there's only 3.
It's weird.
Yeah, there's that fan film that's god awful horrible. But you know, going back, like I said, I played a little bit of Warhammer. I did like the Warhammer 40K actual role playing, because you play Inquisitors for the most part. And that's kind of cool.
I like the Space Marine game, like the video game. It's like a blend of shooting game and hack and slash, and it's a really good blend.
Oh yeah, the Space Marine. Oh god, that's a fabulous game on the Nintendo, on the Nintendo. Xbox and the PS3.
It's the shit. What if we're on? The console generations always confuse me. It's like 6th gen, 7th gen. I think it's 7th gen. I think the Xbox 360 era was 7th gen. I think that's it. Does that sound right, Dad?
I believe so. But no, go find those. Those are fun, and it's funny because I hate using my bolter. I only use it when I have to, because when you have to do the ranged attacks in a couple levels, dude, chainsword, one of the best weapons ever in any role playing game.
It's just like, what if we took a sword and a chainsaw, mashed them together,
and you make one of the best weapons ever,
and it can only be wielded by these giant hulking monstrosity men that have even bigger armor.
Yep.
And they have like tiny little heads. But
yeah, because they still got a human head, but they have giant 9-foot bodies. So they have these little tiny heads that set upon their shoulders. And okay, picture Tony when the Hulkbuster armor pulls the head back, and you see Tony's little head sticking out of the Hulkbuster armor. That's what a Space Marine looks like. So,
and also the Imperium of Man are, judging by their name, the Imperium of Man, they are not the good guys.
No.
Far from the good guys.
I've come to the conclusion there is absolutely no good guys in the Warhammer universe.
The Tau come close, but even then.
Yeah, but the Tau, yeah. So, but we'll be right back after these messages. We'll be right back.
What Watch out, America. You never know where Zap-It will pop up next.
Hey, Dad.
Bobby! Zap-It.
Mr. Mailman.
Why, you... Zap-It. The color disappears, but the fun never ends.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Bobby!
Mom.
Zap-It. Complete with guns and disappearing liquid. Additional refills in red or blue sold separately. Zap-It. The color disappears, but the fun never ends.
It's no more Pretty in Pink for Molly Ringwald as she stars with John Cassavetes and Jenna Rollins in Tempest. Tonight at 9 on Fox Channel 11.
Drive carefully, Fred.
Don't worry, Wilma. I'm an expert driver.
But that Truckosaurus isn't. Look out!
Oh,
Fred, did you get hurt?
no! No, but I got a great idea. These vines and hooks will keep the whole family in place.
You're so clever, Fred.
Buckle up, everybody. I think I just invented seatbelts. Yabba-dabba-doo. Fred buckles up, so should you.
Disney Magic, Disney Adventure, Disney Comedy. Join the fun on the wonderful world of Disney. Weekdays at 5 on Fox Channel 11.
Bringing fun from outer space. She's landing in your town. The most space-age girl around. New Spectra and Spark.
Shiny pink skin. Lacy spacewear. Spectra, I'd love to fix your sparkling hair. Now we're ready for your welcome to Earth party. Sparks spinning all around. Wow.
The most space-age girl in town.
And Spark, too.
New for Mattel. Look for this free Shimmer-On travel kit offer in every Spectra package.
Great necklace.
And we're back. You know,
we now return to the Group Therapy TV podcast.
So I when I was playing D&D back in the day, I was big into when DC Comics put out the I collected all the DC D&D comics because they did Advanced, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, and Spelljammers.
They covered the story of Driz Do'Urden.
No, these were even the stuff. It wasn't really, but yeah, it was pretty good. Never got into the Kenzer Coast stuff, like the Knights of the Dinner, the people that did the Knights of the Dinner Table. But IDW, when they took over, I started buying them because they published them. I don't buy their books as they come out. I wait until they come out in these nifty hardback books. See that? Boom, boom. This is the Fells 5 hardcover book. Yeah, it's a bit expensive. It was $40, but sometimes you can buy this stuff like super cheap. But here's the best part.
It comes with the campaign.
It's got the campaign in the back. Yeah, here it is. Boom. Boom, there it is. The campaign is in the back of the book. So you could play the book that you just read. So you just got to know, or you can play the book before you read it. I mean, but literally, there's all the stuff in there. But they also released a line of comic, or the ones that look like D&D books. This one doesn't look too much like a D&D book. Don't mind you. I still think it looks cool and it's kind of badass. But I like these. I don't buy the D&D comics as they come out. This is one of the few books I wait until they come out in trade form. I'm not a trade paperback guy in any way, shape, or form. I got some trades because it's easier to grab.
You got your collection, and then you got to trade if you want to read. That
because
collection.
I'm not going to go back and literally, for those who see this, there is my Giant Size X-Men #1. That is a real original 9.0 graded Giant Size X-Men #1. I have trade paperbacks with this book in it because this book will never get read. Because this
I would take a bullet for that book.
So this is my oldest child.
This is the fabled oldest child he talks about.
This right there is if anything happens to me, that's the one thing I told him that they cannot sell. Anything else, my entire collection.
I'm burying it with you.
Yeah,
I'm making sure nobody messes with it.
No, Joe said he wants it. So
right.
Yeah, but Joe wants to keep the Paulie Memorial.
But here's a good pickup line if you're ever at a gaming convention and somehow your greasy ass finds the courage to talk to a girl. Like, hey, you want to see my giant size X-Men? Just show them that.
I used to always have the I have a giant sized man thing. And then what's real bad is when Marvel Legends put out the action figure. I was like, hey, you want to see my man thing? I don't know this action figure.
We here at Group Therapy TV do not condone any form of sexual harassment whatsoever.
No. Leave women alone. They're better than you are. For the most part. I mean, sure there's sleazebag women out there. There's sleazebag everybody out there. But I was a big fan of the D&D. They do Warhammer comics. They do Vampire the Masquerade comics. I've been reading the new ones from Vault Comics. We have a gnat flying around in here in the studio tonight. It's annoying as shit.
Studio.
The studio. This is what we call my den. And one of these days, I'm going to turn the camera that way so you can see how far back this goes. So
yeah, we're in the basement.
Well, it's the living area, my living area.
You live in the basement.
I live in the basement. I am the guy who lives in the basement
of his own home.
Of his own home. That's right. No, because I got everything I want set up down here. I got my my TVs, all my.
See in the corner behind me, the Marvel Superheroes arcade machine.
That's going to go upstairs probably tomorrow.
I'll take it.
Take it, because well,
I played the Punisher game for the first time just before we started recording. It's really good.
Well, what we'll do is we'll have it all set up there one day, because you'll go upstairs and there'll just be a line of arcade 1-ups going down the one wall.
We need the other arcade 1-up that has not just the Marvel fighting games, but also it's also got the Marvel vs. Capcom.
That's coming. That's the next wave. I'm supposed to be getting a Turtles game somewhere down the line.
Complete with Turtles in Time?
Yeah. So, what's great is right now is there's just a lot of role-playing games coming out right now. I'm ordering the Fallout.
The official Fallout?
The official Fallout role-playing games for your mom. I ordered the Aliens role-playing game for a customer. I ordered it initially for myself, and then I ended up like, do I need another one? And then when I said that, I ended up ordering the Judge Dredd
the new edition.
The new edition, the Worlds of 2000 AD tabletop adventure game.
There's another universe you do not want to live in.
No. You would definitely not want to live in the world of Judge.
They call
Dredd.
him Judge. His last name is Dredd. You break the law and you wind up dead. Truth and justice is what he's fighting for. Judge the man, he is the law.
Go find the Anthrax song, I Am the Law. And this is great. The best part about it is that it is more than just Dredd. It is the 2000 AD universe. So it's got like the Durham Red, the ABC Warriors, the Rogue Trooper, all that fun stuff like that. So
now you too can experience what it's like to live under fascism.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been wanting to sit down and game for a while now, and I think I'm getting closer and closer to just saying hell with it. And like Friday nights after I close up the shop, once this bullshit is settled, having my friends come over here, we're gonna set up, we're gonna put the camera up, and we're gonna game. And even if it's just me, you, and maybe we can get Campbell or Dante to play. We get some old school players and new school players.
Yeah.
And
get the new school, old school.
Yep.
We could call it crap. We could call it hand. What's the term for like passing the torch? There we go.
Passing the torch.
Call it passing the torch. There you go. Maybe get Vincent in on it.
Vincent don't care.
He'd be like, "I'm Frank.
I'm Frank.
I hit the guy. I hit him.
I hit him again. I hit him with a flaming frying pan." See, and well, what's great is that you can go back and a lot of stuff come from D&D. Literally, the Star KOTOR, that came from the D20 system for the if
you've ever played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, you played a D20 game.
Yes, you did. And you know what's hilarious?
Sure, it's a lot more video gameified, but it's still the Star Wars role-playing game, the D20 version.
Well, what's funny is that when we were kids, we used to always wonder what TSR stood for. And I remember one guy I hung out with was, it's the reality store. Wouldn't it be TRS? So, God dang. It's Tactical Studies Rules is the TSR.
And then it became Wizards of the Coast. And
then then it got bought by Wizards of the Coast. Then Wizards of the Coast got bought by Hasbro.
And they retired the TSR name.
Yeah, TSR logo's long gone. Which is sad because I used to love seeing the little TSR logo on everything. You'd come in here and it would be like, it's the TSR logo. It was a little logo and you knew it was cool stuff, man.
You knew you were in for a good time when you had that little logo.
Oh yeah. When, like I said, when we would play when we were kids, we would. You knew TSR was like the top. Then you had like Mayfair Games, and you had, because TSR put out like a ton of stuff. They put out the Indiana Jones role playing game, the James Bond role playing game, the original Marvel role playing game. I mean, literally, they put out.
You put out the little Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah,
the
Marvel Choose Your Own Adventure books from TSR. There's the Wolverine one for Night of the Wolverine.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And what's funny is that
it really makes you feel like you're Wolverine.
The other companies that jumped on that whole bandwagon too was hilarious. Because there's Role Playing Adventures of Lone Wolf, and that was from what? Pacer Role Playing Fantasy. I got those. You got Starship Traveler from Steve Jackson Games, who's now mostly known for let's see, Steve Jackson Games is now Munchkin. That's what they're known for. But they have one of the best ones, Car Wars, which was like a Death Race 2000 and Mad Max all in like kind of mashed together. It was cool because you actually had little miniatures, and your miniatures were cars. I don't think I had much of that. I think I got the basic books for that. We played Paranoia. Paranoia was cool because you had clones of yourself. So even if you died, you started back over as another clone of yourself. We had one of the other ones I loved was Shadowrun. Shadowrun was great because Shadowrun was
Cyberpunk D&D.
Yeah, it was Cyberpunk D&D. It had one of my favorite things, which was the cyber shotgun in the arm. Which, if you go find the movie Upgrade, because they literally have the shotgun. The guy's loading it, and he's like, bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, that's what that looks like. I mean, I joke around. I say Upgrade is the best Venom and Shadowrun movie we've gotten so far without having creatures. Because there's Deckers in there. You've watched Upgrade, didn't you?
Not yet, no.
Oh, God damn it.
We got to have a movie night.
Yeah, you have a movie. Upgrade is great, but there's hackers and stuff like that, and freaking the Shadowrun was awesome. Like I said, it's Cyberpunk D&D. We had Cyberpunk 2020 that took part because when you're playing a game in 1988, the far-flung future of 2020 seems so far away. That's like sitting back and watching Escape from New York, and it's like takes place in the year 1997. So
I can't believe I was born the same year that Kurt Russell went in.
Escape from
New York.
Oh man, but what was great was we would take, and all of us guys would, for the most part, we never had the same books. We all had a core book, so we all had your Player's Handbook, your Dungeon Master's Guide, and
the core rules.
The Player's Handbook and the Monster Manual. Each one of us had those, but
all the different modules.
I believe I had Shadowrun or Shadowrun, Ravenloft. Dante had like Forgotten Realms. Dante might have had Oriental Adventures. Campbell had the this handbook, the Unearthed Arcana. We all had different books so that we all didn't have to spend and buy the exact same stuff. And then we got to the whole point where we would just try other role-playing games. We'd go to the store and like, hey, I picked up I think Dante bought Star Wars. I bought Star Trek. Dante bought Marvel. I bought DC.
And you would experiment, see what you like.
Yeah, you would go. Yeah, and none of them played the same. You know.
Nowadays, all you kids got it good. Everything's D20.
No, not even that, because you have like Dungeon Crawler Classics, which is cool because it plays like first edition D&D. And it's cool because you get everything in a big fat book, and it's like $40, and it's everything you need to run.
Cool.
And literally, I have one sitting on the shelf at the shop.
Are you really neat nowadays? They don't really separate a lot of books nowadays. Usually, you just have a core rule book, and that's it. Maybe just some miniatures or.
See, what Pathfinder's great about that, because you have the core rule book, and all you have to do is like buy the bestiaries, and which are your monster manuals.
I like Pathfinder. It's got a couple differences. It's built off of 3.5.
Yeah, it's the ongoing joke is that Pathfinder is D&D 3.75. I'm a big fan of Pathfinder. I can't say enough, and it's great because if you have 3rd edition and 3.5 books floating around, you can pretty much use them for Pathfinder. The other thing is they had Starfinder, which is the space version of Pathfinder. It plays exactly the same. You can even use some of the same creatures and stuff like that. It's awesome.
Space fantasy.
The other one that I had when I was younger. I got it. I got the D20 version of it. The D20 version got stolen. I'm about 99% sure I know who has it or had it at one time, because I think he stole some other people's gaming books, but we won't go into that.
That would go into slander.
That would go into slander. Yeah. Call of Cthulhu.
I love the Call of Cthulhu system.
Call of Cthulhu is great.
Even if you're not using it for the Cthulhu setting, it's just great for it's a really good horror system.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it for if you have a horror centric idea for a campaign. You don't need to. That's the cool thing about these role playing games is you don't need to have them be set in the universe they're set in.
No.
You can just be like, all right, I want to use the system, but I want to do my own thing. So, I want to do my own thing with it. So it's just like, like TJ, he was running a Star Wars campaign using the vampire system.
I ran a Lovecraftian World of Darkness campaign, where basically because all the creatures in World of Darkness do not get along. Werewolves try to kill vampires. Vampires try to kill. Everybody tries to kill everybody in that thing. So I was like, okay.
What if Lovecraft showed up?
What if Cthulhu showed up and decided to destroy all of you because you're in the way? He doesn't even bother with you. And a vampire and a werewolf is to an elder god. And so I did a campaign for that. And so these guys had to put their shit aside
and battle.
And to battle the greater evil. And by the greater evil, I mean the greatest evil. Yeah. But is Cthulhu really evil?
He's just. Do we even know what would happen if he would come back? All we do know is that, he's just going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that looking at him makes you go crazy.
Well, a lot of the elder gods that are that way. There's ones that are so they just don't even. Humans aren't even
they're not even capable of perceiving them correctly.
Yeah, they're just space dust.
And there's the Hounds of Tindalos, which exist in, they've always existed. And that wasn't written by Lovecraft. That was written by another guy. The Hounds of Tindalos.
Hounds of Tindalos, isn't that Derleth?
Yeah, but it's sort of like in that same sort of cosmic horror universe.
Oh yeah, no. What was?
That's the cool thing about the Lovecraft universe is that it was more than just Lovecraft.
No. It was a lot of August Derleth. Yep. August Derleth. Nope. Hounds of Tindalos was created by Frank Belknap Long, and later incorporated in Cthulhu Mythos when it was
codified by
August Derleth. Yeah. So I wasn't completely off, but yeah, It was created by Frank Bellan.
But like the thing is that like they even in the Lovecraft stuff, they talk about how there's stuff that's even greater than the Elder Gods.
Yeah.
Part of like the idea of the abject horror is that it goes into the idea of like, especially during the time, man was special. H.P. Lovecraft and a lot of that cosmic horror work says, no, you're not special.
You are not. Yeah, you are nothing. You are.
And it's sort of like that is what helps drive that whole. That's why they go crazy. Is because like that realization. And like I said, it's implied that there's stuff even greater than the Elder Gods, and those stuff have even stuff that's even greater than them. It's like there's always a bigger fish.
The thing is, though, is they're not even gods. They're alien and
monstrosities
and beings and dimensional beings that don't belong in this dimension for the most part. And when they do break through the dimension, that it affects us on levels. That's what I love about the Eldritch Horror board games. And
yeah, we play a bit of Betrayal.
Yeah, Betrayal. I got Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. If anybody's played Betrayal, it's great. It's a you can play it a billion different ways and never plays the same way twice. But they also released the D&D version, which is at Baldur's Gate, which is fun.
Then there's the Scooby-Doo one.
Yeah, which we haven't played yet. But that's another thing, is we're big board game fans here at the house too. There it is. It's right over here. You can't see it.
I'm personally a big fan of the Eldritch Horror. Like, it's a great big...
Yeah,
it's a world-spanning... you're trying desperately to prevent an Eldritch Horror apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you have
and it's entirely a cooperative game. You do not want to work against...
And that's hard to get people to do. Is that's one thing that's hard to teach people to play role-playing games. Because if you go back, even I know this makes fun of it, because it's the episode that they booted out Advanced Dungeons and Dragons from Community because of Ken Jeong dressed as a drow. But one of the things is it's really hard to get through some people's brains that it's cooperative. You work together, not against each other. Mm-hmm. Because you don't win at D&D unless you kill a Trask. And then you won D&D. So
no, I think you won D&D when you kill God.
I've killed gods in D&D. So I became a god in D&D. So
yeah, then you win.
Then I win.
That's how you win.
Yeah, but that was the immortal rules for the original D&D box sets. But and that's another thing you get hard pressed to do when you're trying to teach people how to play the board games, especially.
I came up with some homebrew rules to kind of like help kind of bring that fact in. I call it.
There you go. Eldritch Horror. Eldritch Horror is massive,
but it's
fun. And trying to get people to work with each other, not against each other for the thing, because if you work against each other, you will die.
You will cause the end of the world, and everyone will be consumed by madness and /or death.
Yeah, that's another problem what people have with the role playing game, because the Call of Cthulhu role playing game is you have to work together. You cannot work against each other. You have to you got to put together a proper team, just like D&D. You got to have a cleric. You got to have a healer. You got to have a thief. You got to have a fighter. You have
a team of individuals that all have their specializations, and
because you don't need 5 fighters and a wizard, you will die. You will not be able to heal. You won't be able to pick locks. You'll be trapped in rooms. You won't be able to search for traps. You're going to die from booby traps and stuff like that. But no, that's one of the things you do in a lot of these role-playing games, and you got to get that through people's heads. Mm-hmm. If you're playing in an adventure as a team, build a really well-rounded team. Mm-hmm. Because if not, you're going to get stuck. And Call of Cthulhu is really on that, because I mean, you got to put together, and yeah, you can be all kinds of weird shit in the Call of Cthulhu. I mean, literally, we had one where one guy was a prize fighter. We had private investigator and archaeologist, which worked great. If you could
I
run,
played a World War One guy. I played a World War One veteran, but who was still really young.
Yeah,
because he was like fresh out of the war, and he lied about his age to get into World War One.
See, that's another thing is that's what I like about because you can play anything, but you want to be well rounded. You know, like we had an archaeologist, we had a mercenary, we had a private detective. Because you were the mercenary, weren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't really a merc. I was just like I said, I was just an ex-soldier looking for a job.
Yeah,
that was one of my first pen and paper games in general. I love the Cthulhu system. It's simple. It's percentile die.
Yep. And it's you know, and it's up to the GM. And this is another thing people don't get. The DM and the GM, it's not their job to murder.
You don't want to murder your players.
You don't want to kill your players.
You want them to have fun, but you want them to also have a challenge.
Yeah.
You got to find this good balance between challenge, fun, and like. Sometimes you have to lie about maybe landing a hit or two. Sometimes just be like, "Yeah, I miss."
Yeah. You know,
make sure to give them those moments.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. My favorite one is this is going out to Josh Campbell again. Josh Campbell is the best D&D DM ever. He'd have his DM screen up like this, and he'd roll his dice, and he'd go. We're like, no, we want to go the other way. Okay, roll the dice. Oh, okay. Can we go back the way we came? Okay. Oh, okay, that was the proper choice then. You knew when Campbell went, ooh, you're like, oh, okay, we don't go that way. I'm just like, roll the dice and I'm like, sucks to be you. What do you want to do? I always gave everybody the benefit of run away. Because
there's no shame in retreating if you're going to die.
If you're going to die. You live to fight another day.
You told the story where you like everyone else tried to fight a something that was coming. You were like, I'm hiding under the cart.
Yep, it was a young blue dragon, if I remember right, and it was like, I'm hiding under the cart. Y'all die, and they almost all died. And I had to throw them in and flip the cart over
and cart them back.
To town,
and use their money to revive
them. Yep, all because they didn't want to listen. I love gaming to this day. I still regularly buy the new books. They go on my shelf. I don't get to play them.
You just like owning them.
Yeah, there's a one new game that's it plays. You're driving infernal hell machines. They're hell powered vehicles. Mm-hmm. It's Mad Max Fury Road. It's Inverness, yeah. And you're trapped in this hell world.
So it's Hellraiser meets Mad Max?
But in a D&D universe. And you're driving these hell-powered damnation machines. It's pretty cool. There's Ghosts of Salt Marsh, which is a Cthulhu, or is a Lovecraft-esque gaming system. Mm-hmm. It introduces boat-to-boat combat and stuff, so that goes into the next one, where you do the machine-to-machine, mm-hmm. The vehicle-vehicle combat. I was supposed to get Tasha's Cauldrons of Everything, but my distributor shorted me. So that was fun. But no, I've been getting D&D modules and books and miniatures, and it's all on the upswing. Lots and lots of people are playing D&D right now. Lots. I don't know if it's because everybody's trapped in their own house and they're just playing D&D with their friends that they trust. Or some people who are playing online. They're playing with their friends.
I'm playing an online campaign right now. I'm using D20 Modern. That's one of my favorite systems.
Yeah.
It's because they talk about, it's a Secret Agent, Department 7. And I'm like, no. Homebrew. Superheroes.
I run...
less superheroes and more like Punisher level guys.
I run one called Mutants and Masterminds, which is really kind of cool right now because it's a generic universe.
That's the legitimate superhero one.
Yeah, it's a superhero one, so you can basically make versions of like existing superheroes. There's the stats for about every superhero you want to play, so it's kind of cool. But I got that. I run that.
Well, you can make Superman, but evil.
Superman, but evil. Hey, although I'm not gonna lie, I'm writing a comic book right now, and it's what would happen if a guy that had the powers of Superman, but the moral compass of the Punisher, and one of his side effects to the superpowers is he doesn't sleep, but he works because he's just a Joe Schmo. He doesn't wear a superhero costume or nothing like that, and
He's just like
And I literally, there's one part I wrote where like this big like super being like grabs him and like grabs his arms like, what are you going to do? But all of a sudden he just lasers off his arm. And he's just, the guy's drops like, what did you do? He punches a hole through him and he's like, all right, I'm out of here. And he just disappears off into the thing. He's like, there is no cosmic threat. There is no return bad guys if you kill them all and you don't worry about it.
So it's more of a comedy story then?
No, it's dark and serious.
No.
I just have it. It's gonna have like some dark comedy. You know, like the Punisher stuff has a little
dark
bit of
comedy.
dark comedy here and there, but it's really brutal. And like I said, it's a guy who is Superman level powerful,
But he's Joe Schmo. And thinks he's got the...
Yeah, he's like, he knows that he can't really. He's like, you don't know who I am. You're never going to be able to find who I am. So he doesn't worry about, revealing his true identity because he's a guy. You see random guy on the street, you're not going to assume that's the Superman level guy that's walking by you right now. I mean, literally his job, he works DoorDash and shit. So he just makes money and he can work whenever he wants to work. And since he doesn't sleep, he can protect the world and stuff like that. And he believes that the supervillains need to be wiped out and not coddled and put in, Batman's all about being brutal, but he's like, oh, can't shoot him. Go put him in the... See, this is what I've discovered about Batman. Is the reason Batman doesn't get to put people in jail, he gets to put them in Arkham Asylum, is because he's a vigilante and not a cop. So basically he just retrieves them and returns them back to the mental hospital, because if you put him in jail, then he'd be that's how the I almost dropped my cup there. That would have been real bad. That's how Gotham PD justifies. That's why they never go to prison. Is because
they do go to Blackgate sometimes.
Yeah,
there's Blackgate prison. Everyone forgets that. But often enough, it's because Batman brings them into the police.
Yeah, and then the police put them in there. But but yeah, that's the reason. But no, you realize that the Joker would not be setting in Arkham Asylum. He had been executed like decades ago. The only ones that probably would be like Harvey Dent would be probably still setting in Arkham.
I was gonna say, I think everyone. I want to say this about Batman. My favorite interpretation of the whole Batman moral code is that, I'm a firm believer that Joker should be dead.
Yeah,
Joker should have been just like.
I'm a firm believer in the Red Hood version of the Batverse,
but I love the interpretation that Batman doesn't kill Joker because he's afraid of what he would become. It's not because he would be, killing them is the same as being like, when you kill a killer, there's the same amount of killers in the world.
That's why Punisher kills a bunch of killers. Because then there's a lot less killers in the world.
But it's the whole idea is if he kills Joker, he's crossed that line, and there's going to be nothing stopping him from putting everyone else in the ground.
It becomes really easy after the first time.
Yeah.
Is what,
And that, once again, Under the Red Hood. Under the Red Hood dives into that.
Yep.
The animated movie.
Oh, the book does too. Mm-hmm. Under the Red Hood, probably the best DC animated movie. I'm going to go out on that limb and say that.
I would say...
Followed immediately by Flashpoint.
I would say Return of the Joker. Really up there.
Yeah, Return of the Joker's probably top 5. The uncut one.
Yeah.
I
finally got to watch the uncut... Because the DVD version we had, for some reason, had the censored version on it.
Mm-hmm. I got another version at the shop, I think.
Good. Well, we need to bring that one home then, so I can finally watch.
where he shoots him. But the best part is that we're going to go back to role playing. Is if you whatever you're into, there's a role playing game for that. You want to play monsters and vampires and werewolves?
World
of Darkness.
Heck, you don't even need to pick a specific system. You can find there's sub rules for D20 that to get into that stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's, like I said, I played D20 Modern, and D20 Modern has a lot of.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that and the fun part about it is I grew up in a day and age where it was the whole satanic panic, which we've been over before, but all role-playing games were evil. All of them. And D&D was the worst. D&D was the
it will make your kids sacrifice babies to Satan.
I am the worst Satanist ever then, because I listened to heavy metal music, I played D&D, I watched horror movies, and I don't believe in a devil, so yeah, I'm a horrible.
But Dad, the greatest sin, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people it wasn't real.
No, the greatest trick ever pulled was Kevin Spacey convincing people that he wasn't a piece of shit. And that's not liable.
That is not liable.
But
careful though, you'll end up like his accusers and die.
Die, yeah, and then he'll giggle about it on TV.
Nobody forget that people that accused Kevin Spacey died under mysterious circumstances, and he's still being free.
Yep. A multimillionaire being
Let's
free.
not forget that. Let's not forget that. Anytime anyone complains about cancel culture, just tell them that little fact.
But yeah, get off. We'll skip that right now. We'll go back to gaming.
Yeah,
and role playing. I did it as an escape. I was a kid who was going through a bad time when I was in junior high. I was dealing with a lot of shit, and you think the whole world, when you're that age, the world is garbage, because you think everything is the worst fucking possible thing it could be. And D&D and gaming makes you, you can be the best you can be. Literally. You can be the best sword fighter. You can be the best superhero. You can be the best spy. You can be because there's stats for that. And you can push yourself and you can upgrade your stats and get better equipment and stuff like that. And you can be better. And
Dungeons and Dragons will make your life better.
And
just in real life.
Oh, it does. And it's fun because when I was playing D&D as a kid, it was people looked down on it. It was the
nerd thing. It was either the nerd thing or the satanic thing.
Yeah, it was like, oh my god, your kid. People like your kid plays D&D. Oh,
they're gonna be devil worshippers.
Ooh, they're gonna be devil. And it was people looked down on it. And now it's there's literally one of the biggest podcasts in the world in YouTube channels is about D&D. You get Vin Diesel, who come out and
I play D&D.
He plays D&D. Joe Maglione, or one who played Deathstroke in the Justice League movie. He was in Magic Mike. He's in True Blood, stuff like that. He's married to Sofia Vergara. Huge D&D nerd. And it's funny because he was sitting there because MJF was like, I don't play D&D, and he's like, MJF is jacked, and then Joe was like, I do, and he's like, so that's the other thing is, I go to the gym, so I'm a D&D nerd that goes to the gym too. So
I'm just saying, nowadays, if you try to get on him about playing D&D, he will crush your skull between his massive pecs.
Dude, I don't dick with people fucking making fun of me anymore. I'm an asshole.
Like a soda can.
Choke them out. I could just squeeze their head. And watch them go out. Watch them go to sleep.
You gonna be like that stuntman that did it to Steven Seagal and make him shit himself.
My favorite thing is
this just in. Fuck Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, man. That's like we were sitting there trying to figure out, because we were talking about a while back. We talked about the best Jean-Claude. When did the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies stop being good? And we figured it was The Order. Steven Seagal made 3 decent movies. He made Marked for Death, Above the Law, and Under Siege. And that's pretty much where it ended, because everything else just became parody after that point. I mean,
here's my Steven Seagal impression.
He's. I love how he's still got his jet black hair. Yeah, we believe that's what you look like in real life.
His ballistic sunglasses that he wears 24/7. The fact that he never really speaks much higher than this.
Yeah. But no, Steven Seagal.
This is his kung fu now.
He's not kung fu. He's a Aikido. I don't know who's worse, him or Frank Dukes. They're both fucking.
Remember, Jean-Claude Van Damme is still the king. He can still do the splits. He's still a martial arts dude.
Well, yeah.
He was always legit.
Yeah, because he was really good. Now his daughter is killer, and that's insane. But no, go back to this. Game, man, have fun. If you want to play D&D, play D&D. You want to play World of Warcraft, play World of Warcraft. There's actually a World of Warcraft role-playing game, at least there was at one point.
You could homebrew up some D&D rules to set it within the World of Warcraft universe.
Yeah.
So you can play, like, the whole conflict of Alliance versus Horde.
Yeah, you can do that. That's the cool part about gaming.
You can make a what-if universe where... What if something never happened and you just
all
run
of this
fan games
in all the gaming books takes place in here. You don't need a board, and yeah, you get people.
Boards help.
Boards help. Don't get me wrong. Tables and miniatures help, but the epic battles that appeared in my head are no match for anything that has ever appeared in any Hollywood movie.
Except maybe Star Wars.
I remember Star Wars. That's like watching Lord of the Rings, and I was like, is that that's almost what it felt like in my head, and because the best movies take place in your brain.
What are we talking about? The animated Lord of the Rings movie from the 80s, or the Peter Jackson?
We're gonna talk about the Peter Jackson one. I mean, as much as I love the animated one,
the rotoscoped one,
yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings one from Ralph Bakshi. Big fan of that. But no, when it comes down to it, watching Lord of the Rings is stupid good. And there was another thing. There was a Lord of the Rings role playing game. Mm-hmm. There was a Conan role playing game. There was they called the Hyborian Age.
There's two Conan MMO. There's the new Conan MMO.
Yeah,
which is like a weird survival. I need to bring something up. Because we're getting pretty, we've been going on for a while.
We've been going on for a while.
But I feel
Hold on a second. We'll return after these messages.
Let's go! Ghostbuster toys, so much fun, it's spooky. Play Ghostbusters.
Let's go!
With your own play figures.
Come on there, Ghostbusters.
Jake has a magic backpack and ghost gun. Primeval has a real cape.
Look out, humans!
Pull yourself together, you rusty wreck!
That's spooky!
Ghostbuster figures from Shopper. So much fun, it's spooky.
Supernaturals. Change to fight with ghostly might. Supernaturals. Behold the Supernaturals. Ghostly warriors that change to fight when they're hit with light, because each has an amazing hologram. An eerie hologram you control with a turn of your hand. Turn them into the light and watch them change into even more powerful creatures.
Change to fight with ghostly might.
Supernaturals. Each sold separately, new from Tonka.
Well, we return to the Group Therapy TV podcast.
All right.
I wanted, before we go, to talk about the Alan Dean Foster situation. I bring up Splinters of the Mind Eye for a reason, because that's a book he wrote. Disney is currently trying to, they're currently trying to convince the courts that when they bought the rights to Star Wars, they did not buy the financial obligation to pay Alan Dean Foster his royalties.
See, I think that's bullshit.
If Disney wins, it will set a precedent for companies that if they want to get out of paying royalties, they just sell the rights to a sister company.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a horrifying prospect.
Yes, that's bullshit.
So, please, if watching at home, follow the whole Alan Dean Foster situation. Fuck Disney. I say it's like
except for the Mandalorian. Mandalorian's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, you're also allowed to. You're allowed to enjoy things while also criticizing things. We are not. We're not a thing. We are not. Disney should be a better company. Yet you enjoy Disney. Curious.
Yes.
We're not those people.
No. I love Marvel Comics. But there's Marvel Comics has made some horrible mistakes in their time. Yet again, they're owned by Disney.
They treat their writers and artists like shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is they some of them they treat like freaking gods, and other ones are like, whatever.
Freaking in their own documentary, they covered a guy who had to work while his wife was in the hospital. That's not an uplifting story. That's, oh my god, why'd you make this man work? Why'd you make this man work? And like,
my whole thing is when you get down to what they did to Jack Kirby, Marvel did back in the day. That's super tragic. But then you hear about what they did later when they try to make it up to him, and it's still not good. But at least they're trying to make better on some accounts.
Nowadays, Jack Kirby's finally getting recognition for the stuff he worked on.
Jack Kirby, and okay, this I'm going to probably piss some people off here. Stan Lee did not create the Marvel Universe.
That was all Jack Kirby.
No, it was not all Jack Kirby either.
It was a team effort.
It was a team effort. Spider-Man was not created by Stan Lee. Spider-Man was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko with help from Jack Kirby.
Because like
Doctor Strange was created.
Even Stan Lee talked about how integral Ditko was when he was, because he specifically sought out an artist who wouldn't draw Spider-Man, as
like
beefy.
jacked.
That's why he didn't go for Kirby.
But here's the thing. If you look and you go back to look at Marvel back in the day, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko and Stan Lee and John Buscema and all these guys, when you had the teams that came together, you had something special. Jack Kirby went to DC, and yes, Jack Kirby created the Forever People. He created the fourth, universe.
He did some really good, cool
the fourth
shit
world
over there too.
He created, but
he still worked with the team.
The problem was they would go back and erase his Superman faces, and Kurt Swan would redraw in the faces.
Oh, that's vile.
Yeah, it's bad because they had the Kurt Swan Superman face, and that's what you had to have. But even the stuff he did when he was on his own, he never had that other person pushing against, going, okay, well, yeah, no, yeah, and they would work on each other. Same with Stan Lee. Stan Lee never really created anything good after a certain point by himself. He would attach his names to freaking every turd that came out.
Stripperella,
Lightspeed, Stan Lee's universe, the stuff he created for POW Comics, POW Entertainment, that there's still lawsuits over to this day. But one person did not create Marvel, and that one person is not Stan Lee. That one person doesn't exist.
Actually, he does. His name is Stajak.
His name was Martin Goodman, the guy who ran Timely Comics, who hired Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Wally Wood. If it wasn't for Martin Goodman, this wouldn't be a thing. Because see, this is the one thing that bothers me, and this is going to go back, is when they credit the creation of Captain America to Stan Lee. Stan Lee had nothing, zero, zilch to do with the creation of Captain America. It was Joe and Jack. It was...
They were they really hated Nazis.
Yes.
So like, here's a man who punches the fuck out of Nazis.
But no, you got to enjoy. If you enjoy Marvel Comics, enjoy Marvel Comics. They've done some shady shit in the past. DC has done some shady shit in the past. Just, you got to look past some of it, because I get a lot of enjoyment.
You're allowed to enjoy the stories while still criticizing the company that they're under.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with enjoying the individual works put out. There's nothing wrong with even enjoying the movies. Like, there's like, it's fine to criticize the movies as, you know, business-wise, you know. Disney is making more money than God himself, because they're, you know, they're this multimedia conglomerate. You're allowed to enjoy those products they put out. But at the same time, you should also be able to engage with and criticize the stuff they put out. And I've acted like a bit of a blind fanboy in the past, but that's something I will rally against, is the blind fanboyism. People should criticize the stuff they love. And they should be willing to do that.
Yeah. I love Marvel, and Marvel has made a lot of decisions in the past that I do not remotely agree upon.
Clone Saga.
Disney has done stuff that I don't remotely agree with. Star Wars has done stuff I don't remotely agree with. Everything it is, but I can sit back and I can enjoy stuff for what it is. But that being said, we're getting way up there in time now, and we're going to cut this one short. Well, not short. This is going to be a long one, but we're going to cut this one off tonight. And as always, follow us on
YouTube. Do we really have to list them all off now that we're everywhere? Just say follow us anywhere you want.
Yeah.
I gotta get my goggles in the car.
You gonna get your goggles? Okay. Well, I'll go get them in a minute.
Except iHeartRadio. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We'll be.
Follow us anywhere except iHeartRadio.
We will be on iHeartRadio soon. Oh yeah, we're on TuneIn.
I've never heard of them.
TuneIn is what goes through Alexa. We're on Stitcher, Deezer, Podcast Addicts, Google. We're on Apple. We're on Podbean. And I'm probably forgetting one or two. We're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Go on Podbean. Subscribe. Comment. Let us know what you think of our show. Let us know what you like and don't like. Tell us ideas for stories. We're currently booking guests, but we'll probably get more guests after the holidays or between the holidays.
We'll definitely get more once everyone starts getting vaccinated.
Yes. So I've got my board up there, and I have 4 guests already lined up with a 5th and a 6th on there too. I've got the podcast ideas up there and whatnot. But go check us out, follow us, like us, subscribe, check out our Patreon. Helps us out. Any little bit you give us helps. I mean, you give us $5, it helps me buy a better setup, better equipment, whatever. We just keep adding more money into this.
We got this fancy camera because of
of Patreon.
Yeah.
So, and before I forget to say this, watch Queen's Gambit on Netflix. I'm not getting any money for this. That's a great damn miniseries. That's all I got to say. All right. And as always, just check us out, follow us, like us, subscribe to us, hit the hell out of that bell notification.
Smash your
head on the keyboard. All right. And I'm Paul.
I'm Brandon, and we're not licensed therapists.